And we mentioned this earlier. Really happy to see Bunny again. Really happy to see that he's on a team. He's being supported. We haven't seen much of Bunny at all this year. He's not an active player, not like he used to be, but he's here in GSL, and that's what matters. As we are diving into this and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have the South Korean Terran player himself representing Mystery Gaming. It is Bunny. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player representing his brand new team, Twisted Minds. It is Classic. Here we go. Oh boy, and unlike Bunny, Classic has been very active. Classic has been looking so in form. He's been looking better than he has in a very, very long time. Oh, I say that, you know, basically this year he has been peaking. He's looking like he once did. He is now, I would say, the second best Protoss player in Korea, second only to Hero. So coming into this group, I would kind of give the edge to both Maru and Classic. Again, we've seen Classic in these constant weekly tournaments like Kung Fu Cup, ESL Asia, KSL. Classic has been on that online tournament grind and consistently making deep runs into the semis, into the finals, even winning some of those events. So really impressive stuff here. But we were talking about it before, you know, GSL is a different beast. We do have much more prepared matches ahead of time as well. So I'm curious how this will play out. Classic does trade on the pylon in the center of the map. Back at home, but he's going for a double gas opener, is going for a faster factory. Oh my god. No shot. No, oh my god. Classic. He's crazy. Okay. Let's go. So I know Hero's been doing this. Not consistently, but I have seen Hero take the goal base on Royal Blood before. Against Terran. Hero's actually taken both goal bases against Terran on Royal Blood. But for Classic to come out like this, I'm ready for it, Bobby. I'm ready for it. It's gonna be a Twilight Council. I love everything is all over the place. Like, we don't just have a ninja base, we have a proxy Twilight Council as well. I don't know if that's necessary. Meanwhile, Bunny, he's looking for proxy starports. He's checking the regular locations over on the left and right hand side of the map as well. Bunny just scouting around the map. Bunny didn't SCV scout, by the way, so he's just, you know, making sure that he's not being bamboozled while we throw down a proxy robo in the center of the map as well. Classic, he's having some fun. Oh, let's go. Back at home, because of the double gas opener, it is a 1-1-1. We are setting up for a mine drop. Ooh, armory on the way, so a very committed mine drop coming up from Bunny. Both players are clowning. Let's go. We're going for a proxy dark shrine in the center of the map. Okay, so because of the armory, we're going to need detection. If we don't have detection, these mines will annihilate the mineral line. But at the same time, we can recall. Yep, there we go. We do recall the probes over towards the gold base. So even if we do lay siege upon this mineral line, we have a gold base to make up for that. So it doesn't matter as much. We have a robot already, so we're going to have access to an observer. Classic has the tools. Will he be able to react appropriately? Likewise, is Bunny ready for what's about to hit him? Is he ready for the DTs? Oh. What are we watching? We have the drop being sent out across the map as we speak. Mine drop head towards that main base. Meanwhile, again, Bunny, he hasn't seen anything. The Reaper tried to dive into the main and was denied entry. He doesn't know that the second pylon was missing. He doesn't know that there's no natural base until now. Now Bunny is finally getting eyes on what Classic has been up to, and immediately he's like, wait a minute. He's like, hold up, let me take a moment. He pulls back, fully walls off as well. Bunny recognizing that it's probably a one base all in. It isn't, but that's what he thinks. As the mine drop comes in, we react in time. 4 probes are going to be going down, and Classic is now aware that he needs detection. Observer on the way. Bunny, he's going for a Thor. DT has been revealed. We have the first scan. Do we have a second scan? The answer is we don't. Not yet. We only have 1 CC. We only have 1 scan. Oh, wait, not even. We only had one scan. The Thor pushing back that prism. 5 SCVs going down. DTs busting into the main base. They're getting on top of the Marines. It's so important that Classic keeps these DTs spread because soon we're about to have energy for one scan and we don't want to lose both DTs to only one scan. As they're being brought together. Oh god, a risky move. We still need more time and I mean, regardless, there it is. We've been building up towards that one scan. We get one of those Dark Templar, but only one. There's still 2 more left and now we're just waiting for the Raven. Meanwhile, across the map, we have detection. Raven has arrived. DTs go down. Oh, that's Bunny. He's scouting. Oh, he sees. He knows. He has spotted the gold base. He is aware. What is happening? Thor being sent out as we speak alongside the Raven. We're hunting down the DT. Mines are about to reset. Oh god, Raven is being focused down with the death of that Raven. Oh, that does mean that we can morph in more DTs. Server has arrived. Mines are being cleaned up. That one Thor though in the back line, adding so much DPS to this push. Bunny all in, but he knows he cannot break his opponent. GG gets called, and Classic takes game number 1. GG. Let's go. Oh my god, I was not expecting that. I mean, I haven't been expecting any of the games so far. Like this day of StarCraft has been wild. This group of StarCraft has been wild. GG. Congratulations to Classic, of course, getting away with the gold base. Unfortunately for Bunny, his build was, of course, a one-base build, heavily reliant on the mines to do some critical damage, or at least deny mining in the bases. Alas, there was another base across the map. The mine drop didn't do enough damage. He recognized what was happening, but he only had one orbital. He only had one orbital for one scan at a time. The Invisible Man, it's too good. Oh god, just what a chaotic game. GG, well played. Classic takes the lead, and now we're getting into game number 2. Oh boy. No, unfortunately, there's no gold bases on Ancient Cistern. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. Here we go. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of Ancient Cistern, we have the South Korean Protoss player representing this brand new team, Twisted Minds, currently leading the series 1-0. It is Classic. And spawning the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player representing Mystery Gaming. It is Bunny. The chains look cool. Are you at Dark's house? Oh, not like this. Not like this. Help me, Rowdy. I'm stuck. I can't get out. As I don't blame Classic after what happened in game 1, Classic is looking for some proxies. He's making sure that Bunny isn't going to be catching him off guard. Don't blame him at all. As Bunny's setting up for a Rax expand, so as opposed to the last game, he should be going for a much faster CC. Should be going for something a little bit more economic, and it makes sense on Ancient Cistern. This is a much larger map, one of the largest maps in the map pool, so you'd have a little bit more breathing room available to you. Because I feel like I've seen this before. Oh yeah, I mentioned this earlier. This is a replay cast. These matches were broadcasted last week, if I'm not mistaken. So if you did watch live, then I'm sure you've already seen these. Otherwise, if you haven't, then I do request you to keep spoilers to yourself. Keep spoilers to yourself. As we see Bunny getting that CC on the low ground. Again, much more economic. Likewise, back at home, Classic is working on his cyber core, should be working on his tech, and things are going to be settling down. After all the chaos, after all the nonsense that we've had so far today, things are going to be settling down, and we have much more standard openers between our two players. Much more standard. Getting into our factory, getting into our expansions. Cyber cores are done, and Classic should be throwing down his tech of choice momentarily. It's looking like a Twilight Council opener, but on a map like this, I wouldn't be opposed to something like a Stargate, something like Phoenix's. And there it is, the Twilight Council is thrown down. It's going to be on Bunny to find this out, as he does try to rotate around, try to avoid that Adept. We can see Classic is waiting for him in the main base, waiting to shut down that Reaper. But for the time being, Bunny is in the dark. Back at home, just setting up, getting into his 1-1-1. Oh, we do have some Hellion production as well. With this, we're going to be using this to hopefully scout. Once the Reaper does join forces with the Hellion, we can just avoid, just run past the units and get into the main base. Confirm what is going on. Yo, shout out to Bunny. He's been able to thread the needle. Classic has been so adamant, so persistent about hunting down that Reaper. Alas, the Reaper does avoid the Adepts, the Hellion as well. We get out on the map. But despite that, though, Classic is going to be able to do quite a bit of economic damage. Doesn't get too many SCVs, but is going to be denying mining here at the natural base. Bunny actually pulls back with the Hellion and the Reaper. Okay. I mean, because of that, he should be able to shut this down. One Adept already does fall, and he should be able to hunt down the second one as well, but this is going to delay the scout. The Adepts do get cleaned up. Back at home, it is going to be Blink. Oh, it's going to be quite committed as well. It's going to be 3 Gate Blink Stalkers. Of course, when you go for a Twilight Council opener, you can go for a double Gates Blink Stalker opener into a faster third base. You can be more committed with 4 gates, but we can see it's only... Oh, wait, no, it is 4. Yeah, it is going to be 3 gates, so less committed than 4 gates, so there's not as much onus on Classic to do damage. He's mainly going to have map control, and he should be teching or expanding behind this, as he does move out. For a moment there, I thought the robo on the low ground was another gateway, so I was like, oh, let's go! Oh, but it's a robo. It is a robo. Oh, and yeah, we're going to be taking up towards a Robotics Bay as well, so working towards either Colossus or Disruptors. I do know that Classic has been one to actually work on or skip Colossus and go Disruptor first, which is a really risky thing to do. But high risk, high reward. You know, you can get away with that. This Classic is setting up for his expansion. Back at home, tank production underway. Oh, Bunny did actually delay his tank production here in favor of additional Raxes, in favor of a faster stim and bio, which is a little bit concerning. Without tanks, these Stalkers can get a little bit out of control. Bunny going to be harassing across the map, of course, finally getting eyes on the tech. He's going to get a couple of probes. 3 probes do go down. Meanwhile, Classic is looking to dive into the main base. The tank comes out just in time. We're going to be trading with these Marines. We're taking a lot of shots to the face, though. We dive on forward. A bold move here by Classic is going to get the tank. And with this micro, with the Prism, he is going to be able to pull back. Oh, my God. But still bleeds out a couple of Stalkers towards the end. He gets 1 tank, 9 Marines for 4 Stalkers. Not a bad trade. Don't know if that was quite worth it, though, because he lost so many of his Stalkers. Like, he has to back off. He loses his map presence, and Bunny should be able to establish his bases and maintain control of his main and his natural. Meanwhile, Classic is going for Colossus first. He's not too crazy, not too out of his mind, not going for those faster Disruptors. You mentioned earlier that because of the delayed tank production, we had so many more Marines, and with that, we had the prioritization of these medevacs as well, and now Bunny is moving out with that drop. So far, Classic doesn't quite have eyes on this. Despite the Observer, I believe he did miss out on that drop. Oh God, the Colossus is already here as well. Classic being hyper aggressive. Takes down that bunker. That tank looking a little bit exposed. Classic, he thought about it. Did think about diving on in. Meanwhile, the double drop has arrived. Oh, we just warped in across the map, by the way. We don't have a warp in back at home. Do we recall? We dive on forward. We take down the tank. We're not turning around. The drop going uncontested in the main base of Classic. Reinforcements have arrived with these Marauders. We can see Bunny's trying to hold on. He's losing a lot of SCVs, but the drop across the map is getting out of control. We do have another Warp in. We do have a reinforcing Colossi. It looks like the drop is being cleaned up, but look how many probes have gone down. 31, 33, and counting. 35 probes fall to only a double drop, like barely any Marines. Classic's economy is crippled, and I mean, sure, he was doing some good damage across the map. He was sniping some tanks. He got a handful of workers as well. But Bunny did so much more. It was so unfortunate that Classic did just happen to have warped in across the map and committed to that fight. He couldn't recall. He couldn't warp in back at home. Not until much later. Now Classic is hurting. Well, we have the Raven. We go for the disable. Don't quite catch the Colossus, but we at least disable the Prism. Bunny needs to calm down. He's just going to back off, consolidate his forces. Look for another angle of attack. We don't have a shield battery at the third. We don't have any shield battery, period. The Classic won't have an overcharge. Bunny has seen the third base. He's just focusing on his push. At the same time, Classic is going to be going for a Colossus drop. There are soon about to be Marauders back at home, and Vikings as well. We'll see how much Classic can get done. He's going to get a couple of SCVs. The entire army actually turns around. Okay. Classic doing well for himself. Did go for a recall. Doesn't lose anything. And did buy himself a lot of time. Now, what did he do with that time? He's just now working on shield battery, so he will have an overcharge here at the third base. He has a couple of extra Colossi. He's working on immortal production to help out against those Marauders. Oh, let's go. But Bunny knows how ahead he is. He knows that he can go for the kill. He pulls the boys. Bearing in mind he's got a Raven with enough energy for a disable as well. 3 Colossus is pretty terrifying, but especially with this Raven, Bunny should have enough to break this. We'll see. As Bunny dives on forward, goes to the disable on the Prism, not on the Colossi. Does mean the Colossi cannot micro back, or they can't be juggled. Boys are being pulled, the probes go down instantly. Ay, ay, ay. Overcharge is about to run out. We just have too much DPS. There's too much on the ground, and not enough for Classic. He loses everything. GG gets called, and Bunny ties up the series 1-1. GG. Things were pretty back and forth initially, but as we saw, that double drop from Bunny just got out of hand. What was that? 35 probes killed? 35 probes for 2 Meta-X full of Marines. Not just that, but I believe he was getting a couple of pylons. He was trading with some of the army as well. Oh god, it was game-ending damage. And with that, we have an ace match. We are going all the way to game number 3. Let's go. I just saw what was linked in Discord. Ay, ay, ay. As we are diving on in. People having fun with the chains. I'll explain the chains in a minute after the series. Here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Gress Farm, we have the South Korean Protoss player representing Twisted Minds. Oh, struggling a little bit there, being forced into the ace match. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player fighting back in game number 2. Forcing this ace match, forcing game number 3, representing Mystery Gaming. It is Bunny. Here we go. Yeah, it's great to see Bunny in form and keeping up with a player of the caliber of Classic. Coming into this group, I was really concerned. I was really concerned that both TY and Bunny wouldn't be in the best of shapes and the best of form, and things would be a little bit more one-sided. But even in the previous best of 3, I was really happy with how TY did compete and how he compared to Mario. And likewise here, you know, at least we have an ace match as well. You could argue that, of course, a lot of that was heavily reliant on the double drop, just excelling and just getting game-ending damage. But regardless, Bunny was able to keep up, and yeah, one game away from taking the series as well. Let's go. Likewise, so is Classic. It all comes down to this. It all comes down to game 3. Bunny going for a racked expand, only getting one gas geyser in his main base, so a much more economic opener from Bunny, just like the last game, to be fair, just like Ancient Cistern. Likewise, Classic going for a gate expand himself. No cheese, no proxies, not this time. As CC is thrown down. And now we are on Gressvan. A much more defensive map, or defendable map compared to Ancient Cistern. We have quite a lot of different points of elevation, especially at the third base location, where you can have quite a bit of a defender's advantage, especially with tanks. So pushing up this ramp can be quite difficult for the opposing player, whether it's the Protoss or the Terran. Likewise, we have a lot of choke points to make use of as well. We can favor a more macro-oriented style. But we'll see. We'll see what Classic goes for. As once again, he's going to be going for a Twilight Council opener. As a reminder, in the last game, he went for a Blink Stalker, a 3-gate Blink Stalker opener. Not the most aggressive. I mean, we saw Classic commit and dive into the main and get a tank and a handful of Marines, but not too much. Didn't really have the gateway count to reinforce, and he wasn't intending to. He was expanding behind it, if you remember, and taking up as well into Colossi. We'll see if he goes for something similar, if he goes for 3 gates, or 4 gates, or 2. Each of them has their own place in the meta, has their own role. Of course, 4 gate is hyper aggressive, 2 gate is much more economic. You can take a faster expansion, get a third base. Based on how Classic has been playing so far, I'd be surprised if he goes for a 2 gate, just because he's been very aggressive and very in Bunny's face, period, throughout game 1 and game 2. As both adepts do make it across the map, and can we get a Marine? We get one, and we are going to be denying quite a lot of mining time here at the natural base, at least until additional units arrive. At the same time, the Reaper does dive into the main base of Classic. We're going to be able to get 2 probes. And I believe Bunny did get eyes on the Twilight Council. He did, so he's fully aware that he doesn't have to worry about an Oracle jumping into the main base or Phoenixes either. Bunny can cut some corners, and oh my. Speaking of cutting corners, he's going for an armory. He's going for a very committed mine drop. Not as committed as last game, if you remember. In game 1, he rushed into this armory, and off of one base, he went for a mine drop. Here in game 2, it's a little bit more economic, less committed, less all in. But if we don't have detection, this mine drop can get out of control. Thankfully for Classic, he does have a robo on the way. Or are the adepts going to come across the drop? Oh god, they're barely not. Don't get eyes on this. We do see Classic throwing down a couple of pylons, a couple of spotter pylons to have a little bit of forewarning of this drop. And it looks like he is barely going to see it. Does he react in time? We do have an observer on the way. And we do pull the boys. And we actually commit every single mine here at the natural. Oh, we take down a Stalker. Not too bad. Up. And we save 2 of those Widow Mines as well. Did we end up canceling? We didn't. But it looks like Bunny has recognized that, hey, there's a robo. There's more likely than not an observer on the way. So he doesn't leave the mines back. They are saved. They are preserved. And Bunny can go in at a later time. He can go back in, hopefully in the middle of an attack, in the middle of a fight, and catch Classic unawares. We can see Classic trying to catch that medevac as well. He's hunting for it. He's looking for it. Last tier in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. Meanwhile, we can see Classic rushing into a Templar Archives, into Storm. I really appreciate it. It's a very different playstyle. So often we see Colossi, or especially Phoenix Colossi, in this matchup. But here we see something very different out of Classic. Still went for Blink into 3 gateways. But with 3 gates, he's going to be going into his third base as well. Oh, the drop comes back in. Feedback does connect with the medevac, and oh, yeah, it does get shut down. Bunny a little bit trigger happy with that drop. Again, ideally we want to wait for like a fight or like a secondary drop to come in to like pull apart the attention of Classic. He did just dive in instead, and even though it went down and even though it didn't do much damage, Bunny was able to at least scout the tech. So now he knows there aren't any Colossi. Now he knows that there are High Templar and Storm is on the way. So he can like physically and mentally prepare for that. We should be working eventually towards Ghosts for EMPs. Without them, there's not really much to stop these High Templar from wreaking havoc on the Terran army. But again, at least Bunny knows. Double drop is being sent out. Classic is already getting in position. He's got a couple units waiting in his main base. He's got Stalkers patrolling outside his main as well. His southern bases are more exposed, but the Observer does catch the drop. Uh-oh. Classic pulls back. He blinks forward. He takes down one of the medevacs. Full medevac goes down. Ay, ay, ay. As Bunny is expanding behind this, he's moving out with his main army. But alas, a lot of Bunny's map presence is now gone. Army does get spotted by Classic as well. The Observer putting in a lot of work for Classic. I appreciate that he knows he got spotted, but he does get shut down. Bunny was able to recognize that. For those wondering, when the Observer does siege, it actually emits a noise, and the Terran player can hear it. And of course, see the shimmer as well. As Bunny is moving on now, we do have two High Templar. We have Storms! Uh-oh. The flanking Storms are real, and the Marines, they get absolutely annihilated. Classic shuts this push down so one-sidedly. Again, because of the constant observers, because of the scouting that Classic had, he knew exactly where the army was. He set up the surround, he set up the flank. Oof. And Bunny is forced back once again. We do see Classic just committing to the push as well. This is spotted by Bunny, so he evacuates the third. He knows he cannot hold into the third base. He has to defend here at his natural instead. And Classic doesn't have to commit. He doesn't have to push his way in. Denying the third is all he really has to do. God, that's a lot of mines. A lot of mines. Tanks. Goes for EMPs. Okay, Classic does back off, but he's expanding. He's taking a fourth base. All he has to do is just contain his opponent while Classic gets further and further ahead. Oh. Oh no. As the main army has been spotted by Bunny and his main attention is on the forces of Classic, we do have a Storm jump coming into the natural. Oh god, the Storms are here and they blanket the mineral line every SCV. The majority of the SCVs go down, 12 SCVs, 13 do fall. Likewise, more Storms here on the front lines as well. EMPs were not able to connect. Bunny, he tanks them like a champ. He's just pushing on through anyway. Pushing into Colossi. Ugh. As Classic has diversified his splash damage. God, the Storms, they just do not stop. The Colossi have arrived. They don't have range, but I don't think it matters. Oh my god. As Classic comes back with even more of those High Templar, we still have more Storms. No, don't fight. This Bunny is forced back. His mines did survive, and maybe we can get another volley off. Maybe we can get a couple of shots off on these High Templar. Would be ideal. Oh, he knows. Classic does intentionally pull back. One of the Colossus does rally in. Uh-oh. And we get a Colossus. Not too bad. We do snipe a Colossus across the map. Suddenly, these mines, they're worth it. Where's our detection? Okay, detection is now coming in. But because of the harass, because of the economic damage done, because of the Storms that Bunny's been taking to the face, because of the inefficient fights, he's still behind in the army supply, behind in the economy. Classic eclipsing him here. And here we have potentially one of the final stands here of Bunny. The kiting is looking pretty good. Does trade well against the Zealots at least. We only have, I want to say, 2 Storms left for Classic. But with no mines and no tanks, honestly, Classic, he can keep pushing up this ramp. He's respecting the position. He doesn't know what's waiting for him. But as we can see, like, he could have gone back. He could have gone up. And yeah, here we go. He does a blink on forward. Boys are being pulled into Storms. There's so many. GG gets called, and Classic will take the series 2-1, advancing on into the winners match. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations. My condolences to Bunny. Again, he did well for himself to force the ace match and bring it to game number 3, but here in game 3, it did feel like he was on the back foot. It was difficult to see that. I mean, again, he committed to a mine drop with an armory, and the mines didn't really do too much damage. Not just that, but if you remember, right after that, he tried to go for some drop play as well. Likewise, because of the observer positioning, because of the map awareness that Classic had, he just shut down the aggression or the harassment time and time again. And that did kind of put Bunny on the back foot. And eventually it led towards those big engagements. It led towards those massive storms. There were a lot of really good storms that game. I lost count towards the end, but there were a lot of really juicy connections, whether it was on the main army or whether it was in the mineral line. Oh boy. GG, well played. And yeah, with that, we do have our next matchup before us. As we quickly switch our scenes over. Bam. Oh, there we go. Did have Maru taking down TY 2-0. Classic took down Bunny 2-1, and now they're going to be facing off in that winners match. Likewise, TY and Bunny are going to be facing off in TvT in the elimination match as well. So those are the matches ahead of us. 3 matches remaining, or 3 best of 3s remaining for us here. Oh, let's go, let's go. Also, if you're familiar with the channel, usually I change the background. I change the background depending on what tournament we're casting. We have a theme for WTL. We have a theme for Kung Fu Cup. We have a theme for the ESL Masters tournaments. And this is what I got for GSL. Look, it's not on me, okay? GSL just happened to have chains in their broadcast. I don't know why they have it, but that's what I got. That's what I that's what I'm going to be using for GSL, or potentially I have another one. Hold on.